The little blue-winged bees buzz around the flower beds, warm and busy among the flower beds full of sunflowers. There is a special little bee flying around, buzzing. Body is fluffy and golden. The most amazing thing is a pair of transparent blue wings, as if they were dyed with the color of the sky. When it flies, it makes a buzzing sound. The wings also reflect colorful light. The mother bee always says, buzzing is a little rainbow in the flower bed. Its wings are special, but its heart is even warmer. That early morning, the little butterfly's colorful wings were stuck by the morning dew, and it couldn't fly. Buzzing hurriedly flew over, gently rubbed the dew off Kai's wings with its fluffy body, and flapped its blue wings to dry it. Kai, don't be afraid. I'll help you. Kai. Cai flapped her dry wings and followed the buzzing. Thank you, buzzing. Your blue wings are even more effective than small fans. How considerate. In the morning, when the sun rose, little Aunt Guoguo led her team to carry sugar grains, but was stopped by a small soil slope. When Wang Wang saw this, he immediately flew to the nearby Morning Glory vine, hooked the vine with his claws, and let the vine hang down to form a small bridge. Guoguo, it's easier to climb up from here. The little ants crawled steadily along the vine. Guoguo waved her antennae and said, Thank you, Wang. Your method is even more ingenious than a small ladder. How smart. At noon, little ladybug Dion. Dion couldn't find her mother and sat on a petal crying. Buzzing recalled seeing the ladybug mother in the rose bushes just now. He quickly flapped his blue wings to lead the way. The light of the blue wings was as bright as a little lantern. Dion, Dion, follow my blue light. Mom is waiting for you ahead. Dion. Dion followed Len Guang quickly to find her mother, flapping her wings and saying, Thank you, Wang Wang. Your blue wings are clearer than a signpost, so reliable. In the afternoon, the little girl Duaduo from the neighbor S house came to the flower bed to pick flowers and wanted to make a garland, but she just couldn't find the purple lavender. Buzzing immediately flew ahead to lead the way. Its blue wings fluttered, carrying each flower to the lavender field hidden deep in the flower beds. Duoduo held the purple lavender and smiled. Wang Wang, you are truly my little guide. Your blue wings are so special, like glowing little gems. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Buzzing noticed that the grass leaf nest of the little cricket Lely was leaking. He quickly gathered his friends and used the petals and spider silk they had picked to help Lely repair the nest. It even specially used its blue wings to block the raindrops that were falling. Lely, don't worry, we'll help you reinforce it. When the raindrops fell, Lele's bed was extremely dry. She sang a song and said, Thank you, Wang. Your blue wings are stronger than the small umbrella. The setting sun dyed the flower beds warm golden. The friends gathered under the sunflowers and held a small sharing session. Taizai brought the most fragrant pollen, Guoguo brought sweet sugar grains, and Duo brought honey cookies. It buzzed on the petals, its blue wings shining in the setting sun. It said, If I can help everyone, I'll have more energy to gather honey. The mother bee smiled and said, "The buzzing blue wings are beautiful, but the helpful heart shines even brighter. When the moon rises, it hums back to the beehive, brimming with nectar, and its blue wings occasionally flash a faint light." Because of the buzzing of the blue-winged little bees, this flower bed has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and more blissful than the shining blue wings. The night sky guardian of the owl cuckoo under the dark blue forest night sky. There stands a majestic owl named Gugu. Gugu's feathers are light brown with fine white spots. Its round face is set with two big eyes like copper bells. At night, it emits a soft green light. Its wings spread out like two flexible little fans. It flies silently. Grandma Squirrel always says Gugu is the night guard of the forest. Its eyes are bright and its heart is warmer. That evening, little hedgehog Kayuki wanted to look for wild fruits under the cover of night, but the forest was pitch dark, and she dared not move. Gugu flapped her wings and flew over. Her big eyes lit up instantly. "Cookie, don't panic. I'll be your little lantern." The green light spread out a shiny path. Cookie followed the light and found a full cluster of wild fruits arching her body. She said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your eyes are brighter than lanterns. Wild fruits are so sweet." At night, the little bat Hai was catching insects when it accidentally bumped into a spider web and got its wings entangled. Gugu hurriedly flew over, gently pecking through the spider silk with its sharp beak, and also helped Hai sort out the scattered fluff. "Hai, be more careful next time." Hey flapped its wings and flew up, smiling and saying, "Thank you, Googler. Your mouth is more dexterous than a small pair of scissors." So reliable. At midnight, the concert of Little Cricket Lely was about to start when the small light beside the stage went out. Gugu immediately landed on a branch, warming up the big eyes light and illuminating the entire stage. Lele stood in the light and sang. All the little animals came to support her. After Lele finished singing, she shouted, "Thank you, Gugu. Your light is more beautiful than the stage lights." The concert was such a success. In the early hours of the morning, the little girl, Duwadwo next door, had a fever. Her parents were in a hurry to find a doctor, but no one was there to accompany her. Duwadwo was lying by the window and just saw the gurgling on the branch. Gubu seemed to understand her thoughts and stayed by the window all the time, casting a gentle green light on her small bed. Duwadwo looked at the green light and gradually became less afraid. She said softly, "Gubu, you are so nice. With you by my side, I'm not afraid anymore." Just before dawn, the team of Little Ant Guagu was carrying grains when they were blocked by a small ditch. Gugu found a big leaf and held it down steadily with her paws to form a leaf bridge. "Guagu, quickly bring your friends over." The little ants walked steadily in a line. Guagu waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Gugu. Your solution is even more ingenious than a small wooden board, so consider it." The sun rose slowly. Gugu was getting ready to go back to the tree hole to rest. Its friends all came to see it off. Cookie brought sweet wild fruits, Hai shared some tips for catching insects, and Duodwa placed a plate of millet by the window. Gugu pecked at Xiaomi, her eyes narrowing into slits. I'm the happiest when I can help everyone. Grandma Squirrel smiled and said, Gugu's eyes will shine, and a heart that is willing to help others will shine even brighter. When the sunlight fills the forest, Gugu sleeps soundly in the tree hole. Thanks to the owl Gugu, the nights in this forest have become more peaceful and lively. Such nights are more pleasant than sweet wild fruits and make people feel happier than bright green light. A heartwarming and amusing story of the clattering magic crown. In the treasure box of the castle lay a golden magic crown, which was called Sparkle. The sparkling edge is adorned with tiny rubies, and a luminous sapphire is set at the top. The patterns on the crown are like entwined vines, and a gentle touch will scatter bright starlight. The little fairy lily in the castle always says, Sparkling is the little lucky star of the castle. It looks magnificent, but its heart is warmer than the starlight. One early morning, the little squirrel Tao Tao got lost in the castle garden and was so anxious that it hugged a pinnacone and cried. Sparkle gently floated out of the treasure box. The sapphire lit up like a little lantern. Tao Tao, follow my light. Starlight led the way ahead and soon led Tao Tao to the familiar pine forest. Tao Tao held a pinnacone and said, Thank you, Shanshan. Your light is brighter than a street lamp. I'm finally home. In the morning, the colorful wings of the little butterfly got wet from the rain and it couldn't fly. Shanshan hurriedly floated over and gently brushed the wings of Tizai Sai with the starlight at the edge of the crown. The starlight was like a gentle warm breeze, quickly drying up the water droplets. Sai Cai flapped her wings and flew around Shanshan. Thank you, Shanshan. Your starlight is gentler than the sun. I can fly again. At noon, the little Master Duadwa was playing hide-and-seek in the castle. Hiding in the attic, she accidentally knocked over a bookshelf, and the books piled up like a small mountain. Shanshan floated up to the attic, lifted the scattered books with the starlight, gently placed them back on the bookshelf, and also found a more secluded hiding place for Duadwu. Duadwu smiled and hugged Shanshan, saying, Thank you, Shanshan. You are really my little helper. You are so amazing. In the afternoon, the little boy Lele from the neighbor's house came to visit the castle and wanted to have a look at the magical treasures. Shanshan deliberately made the sapphire emit a rainbow-colored light and also made the starlight form little flowers in Lely's palm. Lely ran after the starlight, her face flushed with laughter. Shanshan, you are the most magical crown. It's so much fun playing with you. In the evening, the small clock in the castle stopped, and no one knew it was time for dinner. Shanshan flew up to the clock tower, using the starlight to stir the pendulum, and the ding-dong sound of the bell rang out again. Grandpa Chef brought out the fragrant pastries and said with a smile, Thanks to Shanshan, we were able to serve the meal on time. What a considerate little baby. The setting sun dyed the castle a golden red. The friends gathered around the treasure box and held a small sharing session for Nanshan. Tao Tao brought the fullest pine cones. Sai Tai presented the most beautiful petals. And Duo and Lala brought sweet honey cakes. Shanshan lay beside the cake, with starlight and candlelight shining together. It said, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." Little Fairy Lily smiled and said, "The glittering crown is magnificent, but a helpful heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, it sparkled back into the treasure box, and the sapphire was still glowing gently. Because of the glittering magic crown, this mall castle has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more delicious than sweet cakes and more dazzling than golden crowns. A warm memory of a garden filled with blooming flowers in the sunlit garden. There is a charming little daisy blooming. It is called Duardwo. The petals of Duardwo are as white as snow. The center of the flower is like a golden little sun. The stem is thin but very strong, and it is covered with soft little down. Sister Butterfly always says Duardwo is the little sweetheart of the garden. She is beautiful in appearance and has a heart sweeter than nectar. That early morning, little Aunt Guagu led the team to carry breadcrumbs and was so exhausted that she lay on a stone, gasping for breath. Duardwo quickly swayed her petals, allowing the flower shadows to gently cover the ants and dripping the morning dew on the petals. Guagu, come and enjoy the cool and have some water. The little ants drank the cool dew. Guagu waved its antennae and said, "Thank you, Duardwo. Your flower shadows are more comfortable than the shade of leaves, and the dew is sweet." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the little ladybug's wings were covered with mud, and it couldn't fly, so it turned around in a hurry. Duardwo gently bent the flower stem and brought the petals close to Diandian. "Diandian, use my petals to rub your wings." Diandian lay on the soft petal, wiped her wings clean, flapped them, and flew twice. "Thank you, Duardwo. Your petals are softer than flannel. I can fly again." At noon, while a little bee was buzzing to gather nectar, it accidentally pricked its foot with a small thorn. Duardwo quickly released a faint floral fragrance. This aroma could relieve the pain and also allow Wumang to rest on his flower head. Buzzing licked the nectar and said, "Thank you, Duardwo. Your floral fragrance is more effective than a little ointment, and your nectar is especially sweet." In the afternoon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the garden. She accidentally fell down, and her knees were rubbed red. She saw the little flower with the same name as hers, squatted down and gently touched the petals. The little flower seemed to understand her pain. It slowly unfurled its petals and cast the most beautiful flower shadows on her knees. The little girl smiled and said, "Little Duardwo, you are so gentle. It doesn't seem to hurt me as much anymore." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Duardwo saw the little cricket lily hiding under the grass leaves. Its little nest was unobstructed. Duo quickly bent the flower stems as much as possible, using a large flower plate to shield Lely from the wind and rain, and also let the raindrops flow along the edges of the petals to prevent them from getting wet on Lely. When the raindrops fell, Lely was singing under the flower bed. "Thank you, Duo. Your flower tray is stronger than a small umbrella. I'm not wet at all." The setting sun dyed the garden a warm golden color. The little friends gathered around Duo and held a small sharing session. The little ant brought breadcrumbs. The little ladybug shared the dewdrops on the petals, and the little girl brought sweet water. One by one, they stand among the flowers, their petals shining in the setting sun. They say, "I'm the happiest to be able to help everyone." Sister Butterfly smiled and said, "Each petal is delicate, but a heart that is willing to help others is even more precious." When the moon rose, the flowers were still gently swaying in the breeze, giving off a faint fragrance. Because of the little flowers blooming one after another, this small garden has become more lively and warmer. Such days are more pleasant than sweet nectar and more beautiful than pure white petals. Brown Bear Dundon's Warm Forest Diary. In the forest full of oak trees, there lived a chubby brown little bear named Dundon. Dundon's fur is like sun-dried chocolate, feeling warm to the touch. Its round face is set with big eyes like black grapes. Its paws are thick but flexible. When it runs, it wobbles like a little meatball. Mother Bear always says Dundon is the little support of the forest. It looks simple and honest, and its heart is sweeter than honey. That early morning, the pinnacone basket carried by the little squirrel Tao Tao was hanging on a high branch, and even on tiptoe, it was out of reach. Dundon slowly walked to the tree, stood steadily, and let Tao Tao climb onto his shoulder along his back. With a light stroke, he reached the basket. Tao Tao held a pine cone and smiled. "Thank you, Dundon. You're more reliable than a big tree. My pinnacone is safe." In the morning, the sun made the forest warm and cozy. Little hedgehog Kuki wanted to carry a big strawberry home, but couldn't push it. Dundon hurried over, carefully lifted the strawberry with his thick paws, and slowly followed Kuki home. Kuki nudged the strawberry and said, "Thank you, Dundon. Your strength is even greater than that of a small cart. The strawberries have finally arrived home." At noon, little fox Hong Hong was skating on the ice river. Accidentally, she fell and sprained her ankle, unable to walk. Dundon hurried over, gently picked up Hong Hong and steadily carried her back to the tree hole. Hong Hong lay in Dundon's arms and said, "Thank you, Dundon. Your arms are warmer than a little cotton quilt. It doesn't hurt at all." In the afternoon, the little girl Duo from the neighbor's house came to the forest to pick mushrooms. She got lost and was so anxious that she almost cried. Dundon heard the crying and ran over it. He gently rubbed his nose against Duo's palm and then walked slowly ahead, waving back from time to time. Duo followed Dundon and soon saw the small wooden house at the entrance of the forest. In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky and it seemed that it was about to rain. Dun Dun remembered the little bird's nest perched on a tree branch and quickly found some dry grass and leaves to help the mother bird secure the nest firmly. He also used his big body to block the nest in front. When the raindrops fell, the baby birds were safe and sound in their nests, and the mother bird kept chirping and thanking them. The setting sun dyed the forest a warm brown. The friends gathered beside the oak tree and held a small sharing session. Tao Tao brought plump pine cones, Kyuki brought sweet strawberries, and Duadua brought honey cookies. Dun Dun sat in the middle, munching on a biscuit, his eyes narrowed into small crescent moons. Mother Bear smiled and said, Dun Dun's brown fur is cute, but her kind and warm-hearted heart is even more precious. When the moon rose, Dun Dun lay in the tree hole, listening to the chirping of insects in the forest, with crumbs of biscuits still sticking to the corners of his mouth. Because of the brown bear Dun Dun, this small forest has become warmer and more reassuring. Such days are even happier than sweet honey. The pond adventure of the blue-winged dragonfly, flying in the pond at the edge of the village. There are lush green lotus leaves and tender pink lotus flowers. Here lives a special dragonfly. Its wings are not transparent like those of its companions, but emit a gem-like blue light, as if scattering a handful of blue stars. Everyone calls it Fifi. Fifi's body is long and slender, dressed in a light green little coat. Her eyes are round and shiny, like two shiny black grapes. When she flies, her blue wings gently flap, leaving faint ripples on the water surface. Her mother always says Fifi is the blue elf in the pond, with the power of exploration and kindness hidden in her wings. That early morning, the little shrimp Dodo in the pond was so anxious that it was pacing around among the water plants. It wanted to find its good friend who lived on the other side of the pond, but the water in the middle was too wide for it to swim across. Fifi flapped her blue wings and flew over, asking softly, Dodo, why are you looking so sad? Dudu wagged her little tail and said, I want to play with my good friends, but I'm afraid of falling into deep water. Fifi smiled and said, Don't be afraid, I'll take you there. It let Dodo lie gently on its back, its blue wings flapping steadily like a tiny blue airplane, flying over the floating lotus leaves and over the mischievous little fish, safely delivering Dodo to the opposite bank. Dudu waved her pliers at Fifi and said, Thank you, Fifi. Your blue wings are more reliable than a small boat. In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, Guagu, a little ant by the pond, was carrying biscuit crumbs with her friends. Halfway through, they were blocked by a small puddle. Guagu looked up and saw Fifi flying over. He quickly shouted, Fifi, Fifi, can you help us cross the small puddle? Fifi immediately stopped by the puddle and stretched her long body across it, like a small blue stone bridge. The little ants lined up and slowly crawled over Fifi's body, successfully reaching the opposite bank. Guagu waved her antennae and said, Thank you, Fifi. Your body is stronger than a small plank. At noon, the lotus flowers in the pond were a little wilted because the sun was too strong and the dew on the lotus leaves had dried up. Fi remembered the spring water deep in the pond and quickly flapped her blue wings to fly away, using lotus leaves as small spoons. She scooped up the cool spring water again and again and sprinkled it on the lotus flowers and leaves. The lotus, having drunk the water, smiled again. The lotus leaves spread out their bodies like little green umbrellas. Fi's wings were a little sore from exhaustion, but looking at the vibrant pond, it felt particularly happy. Its blue wings looked even brighter in the sunlight. In the afternoon, the little girl Duaduo from the neighbor's house came to play by the pond. As soon as she saw Fi flying in the air, her eyes lit up immediately. Wow, the wings of this dragonfly are blue, like sapphires. How beautiful! Fi gently landed on Duaduo's outstretched finger, and her blue wings flapped gently, not at all scary. Duaduo held it carefully and said with a smile, "You are so brave. You even help everyone with things. I want to be friends with you." Fi winked her round eyes at Duadu, as if saying, "Great. Great." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the pond orange-red. All the little friends in the pond gathered under the biggest lotus leaf and held a small thank you party for Fi. Little shrimp brought freshwater plants, little ant brought the most fragrant cookie crumbs, and Duado brought a small dish of water. Fi stood among the lotus leaves, its blue wings shining with a gentle light. It said, "I'm happiest when I help everyone." Mother smiled and said, Fi's blue wings are not only beautiful, but also hide bravery and kindness. That's what's most precious. When the moon rose, Duaduo placed the small wild garland she had made on a lotus leaf and gave it to Fi as a small cushion. Fi flapped her blue wings and flew around the pond. Her blue wings reflected the moonlight like a beautiful blue light. Because of the blue-winged dragonflies flying around, this small pond has become more lively and beautiful. Such days are sweeter than lotus honey and more dazzling than the blue wings. The wonderful flight story of the little blue-winged bee buzzing in the garden lived a special little bee. Its wings were not transparent like those of its companions, but shone with a bright blue light as if wrapped in a layer of star powder. Everyone called it buzzing. Wenwen's body is fluffy with yellow and black stripes. The antennae on its head are long and thin. When it flies, its blue wings flap, leaving a faint blue light like scattering a handful of small blue petals. Mum always says Weng is the Smurf in the garden with courage and joy hidden in its wings. That early morning, the sunflowers in the garden had just bloomed, but the little ladybug Dion was sitting on the petals, worrying. It wanted to send a sweet flower honey to its good friend far away, but it couldn't fly far. Buzzing, flapping its blue wings, flew over and asked softly, Dion, why aren't you happy?" Dion, with her drooping spots, said, "I want to send flowers and honey, but I can't fly." Buzzing flapped its wings. "Let me deliver it for you. My blue wings fly fast and steadily, Dion. Dion's eyes lit up and she put the flower honey into the envelope made of small leaves. Weng Weng held the envelope in his mouth, his blue wings flapping like small fans. He flew over the rose bushes and crossed the small stream, successfully delivering the gift to Dion's friend. When he came back, he also brought a beautiful rainbow petal for Dion. In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Guago, a little ant in the garden, was carrying breadcrumbs with her friends. However, halfway through, they were blocked by a small soil slope. Guago looked up and saw Weng Weng flying over. She quickly shouted, "Weng Weng Weng, can you help us?" Buzzing immediately stopped beside the slope and let its companions climb onto its blue wings. It slowly flapped its wings like a small blue airplane, sending the ants one by one to the opposite side of the slope. Guogo shook her antennae and said, "Thank you, Weng. Your blue wings are more useful than a small ladder." At noon, the flowers in the garden were a little wilted because it hadn't rained for a long time. Buzzing remembered the mountain spring he had discovered yesterday. He quickly flapped his blue wings and flew over. He made small buckets out of small leaves and carried water back and forth, sprinkling it on the roots of the flowers. The rose drank the water and smiled again. The little daisy straightened its back and nodded its head in thanks to Buzz. Buzzing was sweating profusely from exhaustion, but looking at the colorful garden, it felt particularly happy. Its blue wings looked even brighter in the sunlight. In the afternoon, the little girl Duadwo from the neighbor's house came to play in the garden. As soon as she saw the buzzing sound flying in the air, her eyes lit up immediately. Wow! The wings of this little bee are blue. How special! The buzzing sound gently landed on Duadwa's fingers, and the blue wings flapped gently, not scary at all. Duadwo held it carefully and said with a smile, "You are so brave. You even help everyone with things. I want to be friends with you." Buzzing shook its antennae at Duadwo, as if saying, "Great, great." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the garden orange. All the little friends in the garden gathered under the sunflowers and held a small thank you party for Wu Meng, the little ladybug. Brought sweet nectar, the little ant brought the most fragrant breadcrumbs, and Duadro brought a small dish of water. Buzzing stood in the middle, its blue wings shining with a gentle light. It said, "I'm happiest when I help everyone." Mother smiled and said, "The buzzing blue wings are not only beautiful, but also hide kindness and bravery. This is the most precious thing." When the moon rose, Duadwo put the little flower ring she made on Warmung's body. Her blue wings, paired with the colorful garland, made her look as beautiful as a little fairy. Buzzing with wings, it flew around the garden, bringing joy and warmth to every flower and every little friend. Because of the buzzing of the blue-winged little bees, this small garden has become more lively and beautiful. Such days are sweeter than nectar and more dazzling than the blue wings. The heartwarming underwater story of blue bubble little fish in the vast blue sea. There lived a special little fish. Its scales were not silver grey like those of its companions. but shone with a bright blue light as if wrapped in a layer of blue starlight. Everyone called it Blue Bubble. The body of the blue bubble is round and plump. Its tail is like a small blue maple leaf. When it swims, it swings its tail and spits out strings of transparent little bubbles. The bubbles glow blue in the sunlight, as if scattering a handful of small blue pearls. Mum always says the blue bubble is the little warm sun at the bottom of the sea. Kindness and courage are hidden in its scales. That early morning, the little hermit crab Bibi, carrying shells on its back, was pacing around anxiously among the coral reefs. It wanted to go to the underwater garden to find beautiful seagrass, but there was a shallow sandpit ahead, and it was afraid of sinking in. Blue Bubble swam over with a blue tail and asked softly, "Bibi, why aren't you happy?" Bibi drooped her little paws and said, "I want to look for seaweed, but I dare not cross the sand pit." Blue Bubble smiled and said, "I'll help you." It let Bibi climb onto its back, swim steadily across the sandpit, and also led Bibi to the softest green seaweed. Bibi shook her pliers at Lambobo and said, "Thank you, Lambobo. Your back is more stable than a small boat." In the morning, the sun shone through the sea water into the ocean floor. Little starfish Xing Xing was lying on a rock, trying to climb up to a higher coral to bask in the sun. However, the rock was too slippery, and after climbing several times, it always slipped down. When the blue bubble saw this, it swam over quickly, gently held the star's body with its tail, and slowly carried it to the top of the coral. The stars stretched out their 5 little feet, basking in the sun comfortably and saying, "Thank you, Blue Bubble. Your tail is more useful than a small ladder." Blue Bubble shook its blue, glittering tail, feeling sweet in its heart. At noon, the little seahorse Duwadwa at the bottom of the sea couldn't find her mother and sat beside the sea anemone, crying softly. Hearing the crying, Blue Bubble immediately swam over and said gently, "Duwadwa, don't be afraid. I'll help you find your mother." It led Duwadwa along the familiar route, swimming and shouting Mother Seahorse at the same time. The blue light of the blue bubble was particularly conspicuous on the seabed. The Mother Seahorse soon noticed it and hurriedly swam over to embrace Duwadwa. The Mother Seahorse nodded at the blue bubble. "Thank you, Blue Bubble. Your blue light is like a little lantern, helping us find each other." In the afternoon, little turtle Tauto wanted to collect beautiful shells, but it swam too slowly and many shells were washed away by the waves. Blue Bubble saw this and quickly said, "Tau, I'll help you chase." It swung its blue tail and swam quickly towards the waves, carrying back the colorful shells that had been washed away one by one and placing them in front of Tau. Tau happily held the shell and said, "Thank you, Blue Bubble. Your speed is even faster than a small rocket." In the evening, the setting sun filtered through the sea, dyeing the seabed a warm orange. All the underwater friends gathered in the coral garden and held a small thank you party for Blue Bubble. The hermit crab brought the smoothest pebbles. The starfish brought sweet seaweed, and the seahorse mother brought shiny shells. Blue Bubble swam in the middle, its blue scales shining with a gentle light. It said, "I'm happiest when I help everyone." Mum smiled and said, "The blue light of the blue bubble is not only beautiful but also conceals warm kindness. This is the most precious thing. When the moon rises, its moonlight spills into the ocean floor. The scales of the blue bubbles blend with the moonlight, resembling a tiny blue starry sky. It wagged its tail and swam around the bottom of the sea, bringing joy and warmth to every little friend. Because of the blue bubble fish, this small seabed has become more lively and beautiful. Such days are sweeter than seaweed honey and more dazzling than the blue scales." The soft little earthworm's guardian story of the vegetable garden in Grandma's vegetable garden. There is a little underground hero hidden, a soft earthworm, which everyone calls Ruin Ruin. He was dressed in a dark brown tight-fitting suit, his body slippery and without limbs, yet he could nimbly crawl in and out of the soil, leaving narrow channels as if weaving a breathable small net for the soil. During the day, Ruin Ruin hides in the soil, and only at night does she quietly stick her head out to look at the stars in the vegetable garden. Grandma always says, with Ruin Ruin around, our vegetables can grow lush and green. At first, the little ants and ladybugs in the vegetable garden were a little afraid of him, thinking he looked strange, until a few minor incidents occurred. That early morning, the leaves of the little green vegetables planted by Grandma were a bit wilted, and the soil was so hard that not even rainwater could seep in. Soft, who had been hiding in the soil, sensed it and quickly scurried around beside the roots of the green vegetables. Wherever his body had crawled, the hard soil gradually became soft, leaving tiny holes that allowed air and moisture to seep in. It wasn't long before the little green vegetables gradually unfurled their leaves and turned lush green. Little Aunt Guagu passed by the green vegetables and saw Ruin Ruin in the soil. For the first time, she took the initiative to greet them. "Ruin Ruin, so you are helping the green vegetables loosen the soil. No wonder the green vegetables look so energetic again. You're even more amazing than the little shovel." Soft poked its head out of the soil and gently swayed its body, as if saying, "This is what I should do." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, little ladybug Dion was playing in the vegetable garden when she accidentally dropped her favorite red bead into the soil. It was a gift from her little owner, Duo Dion. Dion was so anxious that she rummaged through the soil but could not find it no matter how hard she tried. When Guagu saw this, he quickly went to ask Ruin Ruin for help. "Ruin Ruin, the little bead has fallen into the soil. Can you help it look for it?" Ruin Ruin immediately got up at the spot where the beads had dropped. His body could feel the tiny hard objects in the soil. In no time, he pushed the small beads to the ground. Dion saw Ju, Z, and happily lay down beside Ruin Ruin. "Thank you, Ruin Ruin. Your body is more sensitive than my little claws. I've finally found the pearl. From then on, the friends in the vegetable garden no longer found Ruin strange, and always came to play with him. At noon, Duarduo came to the vegetable garden to observe the nature work. She squatted on the ground, wanting to see if there were any small creatures in the soil. Grandma pointed at the soft earthworm in the soil and whispered to Duarduo, "Duarduo, look. This is the soft earthworm. It's a little hero in the vegetable garden. It can help the soil become fertile and make the vegetables grow better." Duarduo gently held Ruin in her palm. Ruin wasn't afraid at all and was still slowly crawling in her palm. Duarduo smiled and said, Ruin is so cute. I didn't know earthworms were so powerful. I'm going to draw them in my homework. She took out a drawing paper and carefully drew the image of Ruin bursling in the soil. She also drew green vegetables beside it and marked Little Hero of the Vegetable Garden Earthworm Ruin. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Soft thought of the little snail in the corner of the vegetable garden. Slowly, its shell was a little cracked. Fearing that it would be washed into the deep soil by the rain, Ruin quickly climbed to Mang's side and used her body to dig a small pit around Mang. Then she pushed the fallen leaves beside her to the edge of the pit, as if she had built a small house for Mang. When the rain started, I slowly hid in a pit and wasn't washed away at all. After the rain stopped, I slowly climbed to Ruin's side and said, "Thank you, Ruin. Your pit is safer than my shell. I'm not afraid of the rain anymore." I shook my body gently and looked at the vegetable garden after the rain, together with Mungman. The air was filled with the fresh fragrance of the earth. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Duarduo showed her grandma the homework she had drawn and deliberately pointed out the soft parts to her grandma. Grandma smiled and picked a sweet strawberry for Duarduo and also left a small piece for Ruin to put in the soil that was Ruin's favorite food. The friends in the vegetable garden gathered around Ruin. Guaguo shared the breadcrumbs she had found, and Dian showed off the small beads she had lost and found again. They slowly lay down beside her to bask in the sun. Everyone was very happy. Soft lay in the soft soil, feeling that although she was unremarkable, she could help the green vegetables grow, find small beads and build rain shelters. But it was much more interesting than just crawling round in the soil. When the moon rose, Soft slowly sank into the soil, getting ready to rest. The vegetable garden is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing against the vegetable leaves. Thanks to Ruin, this small vegetable garden has become increasingly fertile and lively. Ruin knew that when the sun rose tomorrow, he could continue to loosen the soil in the vegetable garden and play with his friends. Such days were sweeter than the food in the soil and more comfortable than the soft soil. The sweet memories of the Little Peach's pink orchard in Grandpa's orchard. There is a tall peach tree. At the very top of its branches hangs the most eye-catching peach, and everyone calls her Fen-Fen. Her body was plump and round. She wore a tender pink coat, which was covered with a layer of fine white down, as if sprinkled with a handful of white granulated sugar. On her head was a small green hat, 2 tiny peach leaves. When the wind blew, they swayed gently, as if greeting a passing bird. When the peach leaves are not yet ripe, they are green. After being exposed to enough sunlight, they will gradually turn red from the tip and eventually become tender pink all over. They will also give off a sweet peach fragrance. Even butterflies flying by can't help but stop on the peach leaves to smell them. That early morning, just as Fen-Fen was moistened by the morning dew and shone brightly, she heard the anxious Gigi sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow. It had been flying for a long time, its stomach growling with hunger, but it couldn't find anything good to eat. Shu landed on the peach branch and smelled the sweet fragrance on Fen-Fen. Its eyes lit up immediately, but it was afraid that its little paws might damage Fen-Fen and dared not approach. Fen-Fen quickly shook the little peach leaf on top of her head and said, "Shu, don't be shy. The fragrance on my body is inviting you." Shu carefully pecked at a small bite of Fen-Fen's flesh. Sweet juice spread in its mouth. It happily flapped its wings and said, "Thank you, Fen-Fen. Your flesh is sweeter than nectar. I'm finally not hungry." In the morning, the sun rose slowly. The little snail in the orchard was slowly looking for the sweetest dew, but after crawling for a long time, it only found a few slightly astringent leaves. Slowly smelling the sweet fragrance of the powder, I climbed up the tree trunk slowly and waved my antennae at the powder. Powder. Do you know where there is sweet dew water? Fen-Fen pointed at the morning dew on her peach leaf. It was deliberately kept by her, shiny and still carrying the fragrance of peaches. Slowly lying on the peach leaf, she sipped the dew in small mouthfuls and shook her shell at Fen-Fen. "Thank you, Fen-Fen. Your dew is much sweeter than the one I found, and it even carries your fragrance." At noon, Duadwal, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the orchard to help her grandpa pick fruits. She immediately saw the pink ones at the top of the branches and her eyes lit up. "Grandpa, this peach is so pink. It must be extremely sweet." Grandpa smiled and nodded, then brought over a small stool and asked Duadwa to carefully pick off Fen-Fen. Duadwa held Fen-Fen in her palm, reluctant to eat it immediately. She whispered to Fen-Fen, "Fen-Fen, you are so beautiful. I'm going to take you to Lele to have a look." Fen-Fen lay in Duadwa's palm, feeling the warm temperature and feeling sweet in her heart. It turned out that she was not just a peach, but could make a child so happy. Duadwo took Fen-Fen to look for her good friend Lely. When Lely saw Fen-Fen, he immediately cheered. "Wow! This peach is more pink than any I've ever seen. Let's treat it as the little star of snacks and playhouse." They found a clean lotus leaf as a plate, placed the pink powder in the middle of the leaf, and also found a small branch as a fork, playing the afternoon tea game one after another. Tired from playing Duadwo and Lely shared Fen-Fen together, They took bites each other, and the sweet flesh made both of them laugh so hard that they squinted their eyes. Lele said while eating, "This is the sweetest peach I've ever eaten because I shared it with Duadvu." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Fenfen recalled the little ladybug Diandian in the corner of the orchard. Its back shell was a bit cracked, and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Fenfen quickly asked the peach friends who had not yet been picked to shake the branches, using the rustling of the leaves to remind Dian. Dian heard the sound and quickly climbed to the branch where Fenfen had been hanging before. This peach leaf was big and green, just right to keep off the rain. When the raindrops fell with a drip-drip sound, the dots lay under the leaves and shook the spot in the direction before the pink powder. "Thank you, pink powder. Your reminder came faster than raindrops. I didn't get wet at all." In the evening, the setting sun died. The orchard orange-red Grandpa washed the peaches he had picked and put them in a plate. Duwadwo and Lele surrounded them. He also invited Juju and Mung Mung. Mung Mung was lying on the edge of the plate to have a sharing session together. Grandpa picked up a peach and said with a smile, "Look, the tiny peach can not only fill your stomach, but also help friends and bring happiness. That's the sweetest part." Duadwo and Lele nodded half understandingly and picked up another peach. Today's peach seemed sweeter than usual because it contained Fenfen's enthusiasm. When the moon rose, the orchard was quiet, and the remaining peach branches were still gently swaying. Although Fenfen was eaten, her sweetness remained in Duadwo and Lele's mouths, and her enthusiasm stayed in Juju and Mung Mung's hearts. When Grandpa was clearing the plates, he carefully collected the pink peach pits, planning to plant them in the orchard again next year. He knew that next spring new peach saplings would sprout here and new pink would grow, continuing to spread sweetness and joy in the orchard. Such days would be sweeter than the flesh of peaches and more colorful than the outer skin of the pink.
The Blue Little Fish's Adventure in the Blue Stream. In the small stream at the edge of the village lived a very special little fish, which everyone called Lanlin. Her scales seemed to have been dyed by the blue sky of the brook, a bright and clear deep blue. When the sunlight filtered through the water and fell on her, the scales would reflect fine, fragmented light, as if a handful of little blue stars had been scattered. Lanlin's tail is thin and big. When swimming, it can swim a long distance with just a gentle swing. It can also nimbly weave through the watergrass and crevices of rocks. The friends in the stream all say, "Follow Lanlin, and you'll never get lost." The day early in the morning, light blue just catch up a little in the crook of aquatic plants, Daphnia for breakfast. I heard, "Whoops," is quietly cry. Little shrimp Lily. It follow Mom to get food downstream yesterday, accidentally separated by water, turned along while in water, even can't distinguish the direction of the upstream. Small must are falling down. Lanlin hurriedly swam over, deliberately leaving her body a little above the water surface to make her deep blue scales more conspicuous in the sunlight. "Lele, don't worry. Follow my blue figure and I'll take you to find your mom." She slowed down so that Lele could always see her blue scales and deliberately avoided the rapid current, swimming along the most stable water layer. It wasn't long before the call of the shrimp mother came from afar. Lele threw herself into her mother's arms and turned back to greet Lanlin, saying, "Thank you, Lanlin. Your blue scales are like little signposts. Following you, I won't get lost at all." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the water temperature in the stream became warm. The little crab was looking for snails in the crevice of the stone with his pincers, but his big pincers couldn't turn well in the water and got stuck in the crevice of the stone, unable to be pulled out. He was so anxious that he was shaking his pincers with a click-click sound. Lanlin swam past and saw it. She quickly found a soft water plant and pushed it to Qianqian's pincers with her tail. "Qianqian, don't panic. Place watergrass between the pliers and the stone and pull it out slowly." Qianqian did as Lanlin said and indeed pulled out the pliers smoothly. He crawled over sideways and waved his pincers at Lanlin, saying, "Thank you, Lanlin. Your method works even better than my little paws. I can finally keep looking for snails." Lanlin also took Qianqian to a shallow water area with the most snails, and the two of them shared the delicious snail meat together. At noon, Duo, a little girl by the stream, came to sketch by the stream. She wanted to draw the most beautiful stream fish, but after looking at several small gray fish, she felt that none of them were special enough. It was not until I saw Lanlin, she was fanning her blue tail and swimming among the water plants, with the blue scales and green water plants blending together like a scene from a painting. Duo quickly picked up the paintbrush and began to draw against Lanlin, deliberately making the blue light of the scales shine brightly. After finishing the drawing, Duo held up the drawing paper and shouted to the stream, "Lanlin, look! I've drawn your blue scales! So beautiful!" Lanlin seemed to understand. She swam in a circle on the water surface in front of Duo. Her blue figure swayed back and forth as if performing for her. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted over the sky. From the upper reaches of the stream came the whoosh-whoosh sound of water flowing. It was the muddy water washed down by the heavy rain, about to flow into the shallow water area downstream. Lanlin knew that in the shallow water area, there were newly hatched baby fish. If they were choked by the muddy water, it would be a disaster. She quickly swam to the shallow water area, wagging her tail at the little fish fry. This was their way of reminding them, and led them to swim into the deep water area. The water flow in the deep water area was more stable and less likely to be affected by muddy water. Just as the little fish fry were brought to a safe area, the muddy water flowed into the shallow water. The little fish fry wagged their tails at Lanlin, as if saying, "Thank you, Lanlin." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the brook orange-red. The blue and deep blue scales under the setting sun seemed to have an additional layer of warm light, like a little fish that could glow with orange and blue stripes. She led Lele, Qianqian, and the little fish fry to play hide-and-seek in the water grass. Lanlin hid in the green water grass, but her blue scales were too conspicuous, and everyone could find her at once. Every time they found her, they would smile very happily. Duo didn't leave either. She sat by the stream watching them play and even broke off a little of her small bread and threw it into the water for Lanlan's dinner. When the moon rose, Lanlan was still swimming slowly in the stream. Her blue figure under the moonlight was like a moving sapphire. Occasionally, she would touch the water plants beside her with her tail, as if whispering to them. The brook is quiet, with only the whoosh-whoosh sound of the water flowing over the stones. Because of Lanlan, this small brook has become more and more lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than the delicious little water fleas and more beautiful than the deep blue scales.